Welcome to Balanced Life with Debbie Carlin Boyle. Conversations connecting to a healthier you. The show that gives you all the latest and greatest health and wellness information to inspire you to live a life of balance and joy. Debbie Carlin Boyle is a health and nutrition coach, personal trainer, and fitness instructor who helps her clients live in balance with everything that feeds us, in addition to the food on our plate. Please welcome your host, Debbie Carlin Boyle.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to my show. Happy Tuesday. If you're watching live, it is voting day. So I'm going to give a little bit endorsement right now and tell you to go out and vote if you haven't already. Hopefully you have. Important election. We all have a voice, but only can be heard if we go out and make ourselves heard. So go out and vote today. If you're not watching live, welcome to the show. You've hit a great place. This is Balanced Life with me, your host. I'm Debbie Carlin Boyle on conversations that connect to a healthier you. I have conversations from every single spectrum of the health field. And we talk about exercise, we talk about food, we talk about sleep, we talk about the important things that you need to do in life to live a life of longevity with quality. And that to me is one of the most important things, aging young. So welcome, we got a great show for you today. It's all about exercise, something that you may think you're familiar with, but listen up because it's a show that you may not have heard before on how you can exercise and achieve some amazing results. But before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. So I am a personal trainer, a fitness instructor, and a health and a nutrition coach. And I help people find balance in their life with everything that feeds us, in addition to the food on our plate. So what are those things? Those are self-care things that I mentioned just a few seconds ago. Those include relationships, our career, where do we find our joy? Are we finding time for ourselves, meditating? Are we grounding with the earth, getting outside, with being one with nature? I help you find those things that you may have lost along the way and all the other things that pile up with you in life. So I invite you to reach out to me. We're looking at my website right now for those of you that aren't just listening to the show. And my website is Balanced Life by Debbie, spelled DEBI.com. And you just go log in there. Right away, you're going to see a fall recipe pop up. It's a 3-day detox. 3 recipes for 3 days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner that are just going to help you be lighter on your feet. There's a little market list on there. It's really easy to implement. I invite you to just go on and grab that free giveaway that I have right there on my website. And while you're there, go ahead and just give me a shout and let me know if you have any questions about anything in the health and wellness field. I'll be happy to help you out and we can have a conversation. I do free 1-hour intakes where we can talk about what's personally going on with you and stopping you from getting into and achieving your health and longevity goals. So I also want to let you know that I am a live streaming show. So I'm streaming live right now on my Facebook page, Balanced Life by Debbie, again, DEBI.com. So if you're listening and you want to watch, just go to my Facebook page, or you can go to ubngo.com. Or if you're watching on a screen and you want to go and you have the Roku channel, go to UBNGO channel and you'll see my show streaming there live right now. So all kinds of ways to interact. But if you want to call in and become part of this conversation today, the number here is 323-524-2599. Again, 323-524-2599. So call in, ask a question, make a comment. If you worked with my guest today or want to endorse him, do that, because we love to get other people involved. That's the idea of me doing a live show, is being able to have a conversation that connects to you and also adds you into it so you can have a voice as well. So we're going to get on with the show and my introduction today. So, curious about the importance of exercise as we age? Do you want to increase your muscle mass, your bone density, and your strength? Would you like to decrease your blood pressure and your body fat percentage all in just 40 minutes a week? Well, my guest today, Jeff Tomaszewski, is going to tell us all how to do just that. Jeff has a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology with a minor in sports medicine and a master's degree in exercise physiology. He is a certified athletic trainer and certified strength and conditioning specialist. He began his career as a clinical athletic trainer for Ohio Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine and served as a medical coordinator for the National Youth Sports Program at CASE. Shortly after obtaining his master's degree, he formed MaxStrength Fitness in May of 2007 in Westlake, Idaho, where it has grown into Cleveland's premier personal training facility. A second facility was opened in May of 2017 in Willoughby, Idaho, and the MaxStrength Fitness franchise was launched in 2022 to help fulfill his life's mission of helping as many people as possible live a high quality of life into their golden years. Along the way, Jeff has also obtained professional status as a natural drug-free bodybuilder, solely using the methods and systems implemented at MaxStrength Fitness. And he continues to use these systems to help countless clients achieve their health and fitness goals. So let's find out how all these systems work and how we can utilize them ourselves. So please welcome my guest, Jeff Tomaszewski, to the show, please.
Thank you so much, Debbie. I appreciate it.
Hi, Jeff. Welcome.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
glad to have you. Thank you for taking
Pleasure to be here.
I am glad to host you. I'm glad you're taking time. I appreciate it. Out of your busy day, because I'm sure, especially now that you're launching these franchises, that you've got a lot on your plate.
For sure.
So I really, really do appreciate it. I want to get into, I alluded a little bit in the beginning in the intro to your background, but I want to go further back than that.
Sure.
Because there's always a reason why you even go in the direction that you went in. So I want to hear your story. Really, where were you born? What was your upbringing like, and what brought you to the fitness field?
Yeah, so I was born in Toledo, Ohio, outside of Cleveland, Ohio, where we're at now, which I think you said in the bio, Idaho, but that's okay. We're in Ohio. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Okay. No worries. So I was born in Toledo, Ohio, 2 hours outside of Cleveland, where I'm at currently with my two studios. I grew up there, went to high school there, and then I graduated from high school and went to Case Western Reserve University here in Cleveland, Ohio. But this all started for me, my passion for fitness and exercise, especially strength training at a very young age. I would find out years later. You know, my dad sat us all down on the couch. It was me, my two older brothers, and he told us something that I knew in my gut we were all afraid to hear, and that was my mom was gone. You know, she passed away at the age of 37 of ovarian cancer, and that was just traumatic for us all. But at the end of the day, moving forward in my life, I would come back and find that a seed was planted in me at that time to help people become the strongest versions of themselves without limitations in their life, because I saw what cancer did to my mom's body, her soul, and her strength. And so after high school, I graduated, like I said, I went to Case Western. I was an athletic trainer there. I got really enamored with sports and athletic training. And I thought physical therapy was my path of life to help people become their strongest version. And when I got into physical therapy as a clinician, I got disenamored with the field just because you only have so many visits that are given to you through your insurance. Maybe it might be 8, it might be 10, it might be 12. But typically by that point, people are just starting to get better. And then we have to cut them loose and give them a home program and go on their own. Well, typically, most people aren't compliant with that. So I said, there's got to be a better way. So I went back to Case Western, got my master's at the med school. I was the athletic trainer. I was a professor. And then 3 years later, I started MaxStrength Fitness. And we've been doing this for almost 18 years now and going strong.
So, wow, a lot of compacted in there. That's great. That's fabulous. You know, I have a very similar story in why I got in the health and wellness business. Is my father died at 46 from Hodgkin's disease, but he got sick when he was just 30. And all I remember is illness, and all I remember is him being in pain and treatments and weight loss and the weight gain. And I just thought, is that what happens when you're an adult? Is that what I can expect? And I knew, and then other people that I loved dearly were going down for the count too. And they were my parents' age. And I thought, it's lifestyle. There's got to be something more to this. And by the time I was 18, I shifted gears and really thought about how I was treating myself and how I could change that legacy, not just for myself, but for my family. It was really important to me. Similar story in how, and it's usually takes something, either an event for yourself or someone you love that you see there's got to be a better way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to ask you, because there is so many conventional ways to get involved in the fitness industry. I went in through sort of more of teaching classes, doing strength training, even though I got certified in different modalities. But, it was like, that's how I found my one-on-one personal training clients were the people who came in to take my classes, whether they be body conditioning, sculpting, or which I still teach, and I still teach spin on a bike. So that's sort of more of the traditional way to kind of work your way into fitness. What is it about? Let's talk about MaxStrength, what it is, why it is, and how it is, if you don't mind. So
yeah, absolutely. So when I was in physical therapy, I worked with a colleague of mine, and he had turned me on to this style of training. It was called high intensity, low force strength training. It was started by a guy named Ken Hutchins, who was out of Florida. And Ken had developed a protocol along with University of Florida Medical School and Nautilus Corporation, Arthur Jones, the equipment manufacturer. And so they had an osteoporosis study. That osteoporosis study took older, fragile women who were osteoporotic, and they developed a strength training protocol that could their hypothesis was to profoundly improve their bone density. Well, not only did they increase bone density significantly, but they found tremendous increases in strength. And so from that study, then Ken developed what we called a super slow system. It's a high intensity, low force, meaning we're going to lift the weights in about 8 to 10 seconds up and lower them in about 8 to 10 seconds. So the whole theory is we want tension on the muscle the entire time. It robs the body of any momentum, and it takes all the stress off the joints. So we can get a profound effect in a fraction of the time most people spend in the gym. So all the research will show it's the intensity or the quality of exercise that dictates change in the body. It's not necessarily the volume or frequency. You can still get results doing a lower intensity, higher volume program, but I'd argue, why spend the time? I'm always asking the question, what's the least amount of time I can spend exercising and get the most profound result? We deal with a lot of C-suite, a lot of business people, men and women, and they're starved for time. If you ask people what's the number one objection you don't exercise, if they don't exercise consistently, it's like, I don't have enough time. Well, we all have the same 24 hours in the day. I'd argue they didn't make it a priority, right? But we come in and we can get profound results in 20, 25 minutes twice a week back to their busy day without breaking a sweat, because in our studios, we keep the temperature controlled. So we keep the body very physiologically effective. Just like your car, if it overheats, doesn't run as well. Same thing holds true with the human body. The bonus, my clients can literally come in, train, go right back to the busy day, don't have to worry about showering or grooming. So it's very efficient from that perspective. So that's how I found that protocol. And then when I got out of physical therapy, went back to Case, I started implementing that protocol with our athletes at the university level, and then some of the staff there as well. And I did my master's thesis on high intensity strength training, how it could profoundly improve cardiovascular benefit. Because people think you just need to run or jog or do cardio, if you will, right? Well, they don't really typically understand that the muscular system drives your cardiovascular system, meaning think about your muscular system like the engine in your car. If you rev the engine, the exhaust works harder. Well, that's your heart and lungs, right? So your sole job of your cardiovascular system is to carry blood, oxygen, nutrition to a tissue, organ, muscle, cell, and carry waste product away. It just moves things around. So if you make your muscles work harder, your heart and lungs have to work harder. So I proved through that study in my master's thesis and with thousands and thousands of sessions later over the last 18 years that we can profoundly improve your cardiovascular system through strength training as well. It's a great benefit of doing this style of training.
Wow. You must see such great results. People must be so happy with what they're seeing without having to, because, what I was saying earlier is that a lot of people are turned off by exercise because, one, the time it takes, two, or so they think it takes,
right,
and two, just the implementation of it, trying to keep up in a class or being able to afford a one-on-one trainer and that kind of thing is very difficult for people to sustain. Like a diet, right? Diets don't work. It's very hard to sustain. And you've created a way that there's sustainability along with results, and your time isn't being taken away. And so you're actually alleviating any kind of stress that somebody might have towards the act of going into exercise, which I love. I love that you're eliminating that. So, going back, talking about bone density and helping, I know that this slow pushing of weight is to help keep from bone loss. But I've also heard, and you can tell me the science behind this, that it actually can replace bone. When a lot of doctors will tell you that can't be done.
Well, they're wrong.
Yeah, they are, right? It can be. So I'm going to use I always use myself as an example when it pertains to something. So I'm about to be 65 years old, and I'm petite. I weigh about 105 pounds. I'm 5'4". So, and I have a familiar, my mom was like 5'2". So I come from petite genes. And so my tendency is for my bones to be very brittle. I've been working out my entire adult life since I was in my 30s. This is a second career for me, but I always had this side hustle and this passion since my 30s of exercise. Well, I'm having my bone loss is significant. And that's why I told you I go to this place called OsteoStrong, which is very similar to the premise of what you're doing, just sort of a different way of going about it. And they say that they can, you have to give it a right amount of time. But when I go back in for my bone density test, I should have gained the bone back. And that's, to me, miraculous. When doctors told me, when I had osteopenia, they told me, you're starting to have a little bit of bone loss, and generally it's usually the hips, and where it starts, and then the back. And now I've started in the back, or at least the last time I had my density test. And I always just thought, I remember my doctor specifically telling me, this was like 10, 15 years ago. She said to me, once it's lost, it will never, ever come back. And that scared me so bad. And I tried to do everything I knew in my power through diet and exercise and lifestyle to not lose have any more bone loss. And I was so scared. But now that I know I can put it back, what a relief.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I mean, the good thing that came out of that conversation is she scared you enough to do something, I guess, even though it was misinformation, right? And we see clients all the time improve their bone density. Bone is remodeling all of the time. People think that bone is just, it's stagnant. It doesn't remodel. It doesn't, continue to grow or decay. Obviously it decays, so it can grow. So when we keep tension on the muscle, the muscle attaches to bone. And so you put a high level of force and tension through the muscle into the bone, then your bone is remodeling. Doctors say you need to do weight bearing exercise. So you're pounding, you're jumping, things like that. That can impact the bone for sure. But we find it all the time without affecting the joint by going slow and controlled and going to fatigue. And I tell my osteoporotic clients, if you truly want to increase your bone density, you have to give us 100% effort, because the deeper we inroad or fatigue the musculature, the quicker, the faster we're going to get stronger, but also you're going to increase that bone density. So we'll see clients that are osteoporotic on medication either stop the trend moving forward, reverse it and get off of their medication. We see that all the time. Now, everybody's different, don't get me wrong, but we can profoundly impact the health of the bone through high intensity strength training without risking injury by doing ballistic pounding and jumping in nature that they typically recommend.
That's just so miraculous to me. It's so miraculous, because I, like my father, when he was sick, I watched my mother dwindle down to like 4'8". She was just a little, she lived to 85, but she was a little nothing. Now, granted, she was doing nothing in her lifestyle to help that, and she was smoking, which also, takes away bone density. But the fact that we can rebuild bone to me just seems miraculous, and I love it because I'm at that stage where, genetically and already knowing where I stand, that I'm going to, keep going down. And most of my clients are women over 40, and we're all in the same boat. We're all feeling the same pull and push that says, we could do everything in our power, but we may not be able to stop it. And to know that this scientifically is proven to stop it and to replace it, I just love that.
Yeah, and that's just one of the benefits from strength training. We all are suffering from sarcopenia at the end of the day after about the age of 30. And for those who don't know what that means, it's the wasting away of muscle tissue and strength. We'll lose about 1% every couple of years after the age of 30. And that's profound if you think about it, because when you lose your muscular mass and your strength, you decrease the stability, mobility, and flexibility around your joints. Your metabolism goes down because muscle is expensive tissue. The more muscle we pack on your frame, the more calories you burn at rest. In a sense, you become a fat burn machine throughout the day. So there's a metabolic cost to adding that muscle onto your frame, right? But we can also increase your balance. People come to me all the time and say, well, I'm losing my balance. Well, it's because you're losing your strength. You don't have the strength when you start to lose your balance, the muscle to fire correctly in order to be strong enough to hold you up. So we have clients come in walkers or canes or assisted walking devices. Within 3-6 months, they're ditching them. I mean, we're the walker graveyard, if you will. So because you can increase your strength, you can profoundly impact so many areas of your life. Your flexibility increases, your cognitive function increases. We have clients with Alzheimer's, dementia. There's tons of research now to support high intensity strength training has a cognitive benefit from it. Libido increases, your energy increases. So all of those, blood pressure, cholesterol can be stabilized. We can reverse type 2 diabetes. Those are all lifestyle things. And so many people talk about obesity, and look, that's a real thing. But at the end of the day, we've been talking about that for over a decade, right? And not much has changed. I really think we should switch the conversation to a paradigm shift of not being overweight, but being under-muscled. Because if we address the strength, especially earlier on, and it's never too late to gain strength. I mean, I've got 90-year-olds that train with us. Mm-hmm. So if we can gain some of that strength back, we gain our functional ability back, which gains our independence back. Most of my clients, we typically train 50 and above. That's our sweet spot of who we love to train, because I think it's such an underserved population. So we've been doing that since the beginning. And so when these clients come in and they build their strength and build their function and all the other benefits that we talked about, it profoundly improves the quality of their life. They can now go on vacation and hike in Europe, and they can get on the floor and play with their grandchildren. They don't have doctor's visits and doctor's bills and medications they have to take. They can functionally do the things they want to do on their terms without limitations. They've spent so much time building their wealth, yet they kind of let their health suffer. And that's where we come in the second half of life, if you will, to profoundly improve the quality of their life. So it's so rewarding for us because we see people our testimonials they're just through the roof. It's so rewarding. I don't know of any other business that you can get such an impact on somebody's quality of life. And it just makes us feel good every day.
That's amazing. I love hearing that. I think that's so wonderful, because who wouldn't want that? I'm talking about longevity with quality.
Right.
Remember when I first got into the fitness business, and knowing I wanted to change the legacy of what was going on in my family, of people going down way too soon and getting so sick with cancers and autoimmune diseases and heart disease, and just losing the people I loved way too young. I remember thinking, I'm going to shift this paradigm. I'm going to be able to run after my great-grandchildren. That's my goal. I have a grandchild now, and I can keep up with anybody 30, 40, 50 years younger than me, easily, because I've got the strength and the power to do that. And I think what you're saying is so important, because you're turning the quality of somebody's life around when, it becomes what I have. My clients range from age 24 to age 87. Just turned 87 in October. And what a big thing that I see for my older clients, the ones that are 40 and above, is that we want to be preventative. And because what you're saying about balance and flexibility and strength is, if you trip over a step or you're walking, I mean, we all trip, we all, a shoelace gets untied, somebody comes and throws something in front of us, and it's how we manage that. And if we hit the ground, what's going to happen when we hit, how we fall, where we fall, what breaks and doesn't break. When you inevitably start thinking about older people, when you talk to anybody about their grandparents, or in my case, their parents, if they take a fall, that's the first step to the end.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
That happened to my mother. She took a fall, fractured a hip, and that was it. It was done.
Yeah.
Within, I'd say 2 months, she was gone in the hospital. So, but it's one of those things that people, I don't know, we sort of accept that happens when you get old, and there's no reason to accept it. It's never too late to change that. And I love what you're doing. I just love it. Can we break? Oh, you know what? We're going to take a quick break from one of my sponsors. And when we come back, I want you to break it down, the method in which you use and how you utilize that 20-25 minutes.
Sure.
So,
sounds good.
Okay. We'll be back right after this message from one of my sponsors.
Without looking at labels, do you actually know what is in the cleaning products that you use in your home? If you haven't addressed this yet, it's likely that you are spraying toxic and dangerous chemicals in your home. 3 common ingredients that you want to avoid at all costs are ammonia, fragrance, and bleach. These ingredients and chemicals can contribute to chronic respiratory problems, allergic reactions, allergies, cancer, hormonal issues, headaches, and more. So what's the solution to a healthier, clean home for your family? Teas Organics all-purpose cleaner and room sprays. Tea's products are formulated with the power of an essential oil blend. Her all-purpose cleaner gives you a clean surface, shower, toilet, or simply just use it to spot clean or dust, and all without harsh chemicals. And to make it even better, Tea's Organics all-purpose cleaner uses 100% organic essential oils and has a sweet yet spicy herbal aroma with hints of citrus. Imagine a fresh, inviting scent and sparkling clean home that you know is free from toxic, potentially harmful, and cancer-causing chemicals. I use these products, and I can personally attest to all of the above. And right now, enjoy a 15% discount by applying 15DEBBI, DEBI, to your order. So check out these amazing products by Tea's Organics that are healthy for you and your home.
All right, we are back. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. I am here with my guest. I am with Jeff Tomaszewski, and we are talking about maximum strength training, and we're going to kind of break it down right now. And if you want to join the conversation and you're just catching us and you're listening live, go ahead and give us a call. We're at 323-524-2599. Ask anything you want about exercise, anything that has to do in the health and wellness when it comes to exercise. Jeff or I can answer that for you. I'm pretty sure about that today. And if you're not listening live, go to my Facebook page, Balanced Life by Debbie, and right under the show, ask a question, make a comment. I or myself or my guests will get back to you post-show. So, and same thing, if you're on my YouTube channel, we will get back to you no matter when or what your question might be. So right before the break, we were talking about all the benefits of your training and of high intensity strength training. Will you break it down for us? When let's say I come in, what's going to be expected? What would I do in your facility?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing you'll notice in our studios is the temperature is controlled. We keep it about 67 degrees Fahrenheit. As I alluded to earlier, we want to keep the body very efficient during the exercise process. So if you go and run on a hot sunny day, you're not as efficient as if you were to go and run on maybe a cooler day, right? So there's tons of research to support ideal temperature. The bonus, our clients don't sweat or perspire when they train with us, so they can literally come in, train, go right back to their busy day. The other thing you'll notice is it's distraction free. There's no mirrors, no music. It allows for extreme focus. Most gyms are social settings, music blaring, people socializing. You can't really focus in those environments. And with our background being therapy and sports medicine, we take a very clinical approach. So we want the clients focused the entire time. They're always one-on-one with their trainer. So it's that general use of the facility or group classes. So they can check their brain at the door. All they have to do is walk in the door and we'll be in their mind for that moment in time. Walk them through a tried and proven system. And then we have equipment that has virtually low friction on it. And we have equipment that's specialized because we lift the weights in about 10 seconds and we lower them in 10. So we move at that speed because, again, we want tension on the muscle the entire time. It robs the body momentum, takes all the stress off the joints. We'll typically do one set to muscular fatigue or failure. We call that an inroad. I want to empty the gas tank, if you will. So when you come in, you have a full tank of gas, energy, and strength. Our sole goal is to momentarily weaken you on each machine. That's the stimulus that creates change once you walk out the door. Then we'll go from machine to machine to machine, anywhere between maybe 5 to 8 exercises, 20, 25 minutes, total body routine, in, out, back to your busy day. We'll allow 2 to 3 days of rest and recovery because that's when the body changes and adapts. People think, you get the benefit when you exercise. You don't. Exercise actually is stress on the body. It's a good stress and it's a needed stress, but all we're doing is breaking muscle tissue down so that it can rebuild stronger, faster, better, more efficient, more effective. Over the 2 to 3 days of rest and recovery, bring you back, repeat that process. That's why we only train up most for that twice a week. So it's 20 minutes twice a week, total body workout, in, out, back to your busy day. So our methodology actually comes from science. It's a biological model. So that being said, we use the minimum effective dose. Just like a doctor, if they were to give you a drug, say for blood pressure, let's just say, they give you a certain amount and a certain frequency, the dosage and frequency, because too much is toxic, could literally kill you or have an adverse effect. Not enough doesn't do anything. Same thing with exercise. So we prescribe the minimum effective dose. We bring the intensity up and the volume and frequency down because there's an inverse relationship between the two. You only have so much energy to expend. So we want to cut all the fluff out of exercise and get right to work. So it's a high intensity, low force. So it's efficient, effective, and safe, in, out, back to your busy day. So that's typically our session.
Wow. And so, you track each individual client.
Yep. Every trainer has a chart. We'll have the weights, we'll have the reps, we'll have the routine. That's the other beauty. Clients don't have to worry about program design. That's our expertise based upon their goals, their medical history, their needs. We'll sit down the initial visit with them and go through all of that and then start to design a program for them. We don't have a cookie cutter exercise program for anybody, even though we utilize a protocol, because inevitably dealing with our clientele who's 50 and above, they typically have some type of chronic injury. They might have had already a knee replacement, or they have a rotator cuff injury, or they have just a chronic low back pain. We can address all of that because our protocol is very therapeutic in nature because of the speeds we move at and because of the isolation that we have upon the musculature. And it's not ballistic in nature, so you're not stressing the joint. So we do a lot of post-rehab with clients, and we'll do a lot of pre-rehab with clients, meaning if I have a client just recently, and we have this all the time, they'll come to me, they're slated for a knee replacement. And the stronger they become going into that surgical intervention, the quicker, the faster the recovery typically is after they have surgery. So we see that all the time.
So you do individualize it based on what, okay. Yeah. And so when you say reps, so some of the slow training and even OsteoStrong, it's one movement, one machine. It's one push as hard as you can and break your record from last time kind of thing. And that's the same premise behind what I was telling you about Jeff Grossman and his protocol and what he does. But yours is different. Yours is...
Yeah, so the difference is, the intensity is where the commonality comes in, right? So they're trying to get an intense effort out of the client and fatigue them. So are we. We're just going about it a different fashion, whereas they're going ballistic as hard as fast as they can. we're slowly decreasing the strength over time. So we call that time under load or time under tension, right? So it's not an all-out ballistic nature, because a lot of times people can get injured doing that. I'm not saying they will at those studios, but that being said, we want to take all of the risk out of it. And we use a lot of different variety of movement patterns, whereas they might use just 5 or 6. So everybody's different and everybody has different needs. So we want to make sure we have enough variety within the program to address those individualistic needs. So if I have a client with severe back pain, I'll put them on my lumbar extension machine. I'll put them on my torso rotation. We'll stabilize the hips and do hip abduction, adduction, because those are highly underserved muscles, because we typically don't do a lot of lateral movement side to side throughout the day. So guys always come and say, well, I don't want to do hip abduction or adduction. That's where you bring your legs in and out, right? And you work your glutes and your hips. They think that's the girl exercise. I said, well, if you want to not fracture your hip and you want to stabilize the joint, then you're going to want to do these. So when they understand why they do each machine and the benefit that they get from it, then it helps them to really engage in the protocol and really give 100% effort. And that's the beauty, is we meet a client where they're at. So don't let the intensity word scare you, right? So if a client comes in and they're completely sedentary, they're doing nothing, we'll meet them where they're at. And then at their pace, we'll slowly incrementally increase the intensity so that they can change and adapt to accomplish the goals that we established on that first day.
That's fabulous. And I bet you're pretty busy since you opened up a second facility. And, I know you have a lot of people, a lot of trainers that work with you. So I know how busy you are. But the fact is, you're only in Ohio right now. So for a lot of us that are listening, a lot of my listeners are here on the West Coast.
Sure.
Can we talk about, until franchises start coming this way, what someone can do right now on their own, or if they have a trainer, but what should they be doing?
Absolutely. First and foremost, we do virtual training too. So we can come into anybody's house anywhere in the world. We don't have to have our fancy equipment or our studio, because when the pandemic hit, we were forced to shut down for 12, 13 weeks. So we became a virtual training studio within 4 days. And we still have clients that prefer virtual because they just don't want to come in the studio, travel, whatever it is. And now when they go on vacation, or we have a lot of snowbirds, we can come into their home and utilize the philosophy of the protocol of a high intensity, low force model with body weight exercises or bands or any free weights or dumbbells or barbells or anything they have around the house. I mean, typically we just need a chair. We could use a beach towel. We could use a yoga block. So we get very creative. But people that don't even do the virtual training with us, I mean, if you do any exercise, just slow it down. I'm just talking, you want tension on the muscle. Make it harder, not easier. Don't try to get the rep or try to see how many you can do. Try to see how efficiently you can fatigue and how deeply you can fatigue the musculature, because that's what creates change in the body. So many people nowadays, and I get it, everybody wants to de-stress and we want to do things that calm us down. But I would argue that our resiliency has weakened as a society. And when you come in and do high intensity strength training, it's not fun. I mean, it is challenging. But I would argue that you should challenge yourself every day to do something that puts you outside of your comfort zone, to build that resiliency, to build that state of mind, and to build your confidence and your courage moving throughout life. So clients, when they adapt the high intensity model, whether it's with us or on their own, they're doing something that is struggle throughout the day through that exercise modality, but it's so beneficial as well. And it just creates a tougher mindset, if you will, moving forward. Yes, meditation and prayer and all is all welcomed and needed. But I'd argue you got to push yourself sometime throughout the day as well. And that's where strength training comes in.
Yeah. I would have to agree with that. And I totally agree with the point of fatigue of a muscle. And that's where you see the change. That's where you make the differences. Yeah. And I completely agree with all of that happens once we're out of the gym, not while we're in the gym, but it's when we come into the gym that, we got to kind of put our motivational head on. And like you said, with with your trainers, you're able to let them do the work. But for, everybody else who doesn't have a trainer.
Yeah. I mean, people on their own, they could do body weight exercises. You could literally get up against the wall and do a wall sit, a squat down against the wall and just let your muscles contract in that moment in time. We call that a static hold, or if you were, or time static contraction. So try to see if you can hold it for 60 to 90 seconds and just really work in that position. You could, even if you can't do a push-up, you could put yourself in a push-up position, lower down halfway, and just push your hands into the floor as hard as you can to hold that position. And your muscles are still contracting. It's an isometric exercise, and you can still get a profound benefit from that. So you don't have to necessarily have our fancy equipment or machines in our studio. But for people that don't want to think about it and do it on their own, because left to their own devices, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it at the end of the day. And then the end of the day comes and they're exhausted and they don't do it, right? That's why having an appointment with somebody and accountability is key. Look, we all need a coach. I hire people that are much smarter than me in business and life. I'm not the most handy guy in the world. So I had a plumber come over this morning because I can't fix that leaky thing. So, but I'm going to hire an expert. And that's where people come to us, because they don't want to worry about it. Because typically when people go on exercise, if they're not educating themselves, they're going to do it wrong and they risk injuring themselves. And then they're like, or they're just spinning their wheels, hours on end, multiple days a week. And it's because as soon as it starts to get hard or challenging or combat, as you're starting to fatigue, it's not comfortable and burning, they quit. They stop before the stimulus is created for change. So that's where the trainer helps them stay calm, collective, and work through that muscular fatigue.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. When it comes to exercise, or even when it comes to, I work with very high-end professionals, and they're really good at what they do. But, they can't seem to get their food figured out, or there's stuff in their lifestyle is all discombobulated, and they can't, that's why I help them find balance. And I believe people need coaches for many things. I had a financial coach after my divorce. You need people to help you stay on track and get on track. And then eventually you find where you belong. You don't have to hang on. I've had a client that's been with me 20 years. She works out 3 days a week with me. She's now 75 years old. She would not work out. She told me she would not work out if it wasn't for me. And it's because she doesn't want to think about it. Yeah. She just wants somebody. I have a protocol for her that works for her. She's gained muscle. She's gained strength. She's now walking the beach. I lived in Malibu for 20 years, which is where I met her. And I'm very close to Malibu now. And she walks her dogs on the beach every day, but she gets in the water and she walks against the tide, which is coming this way at her. She walks perpendicular to it.
Yeah.
So she's walking and pushing weight with water, and she's grounding herself at the same time. She's in better shape now than she was, definitely when we first started 20 years ago, but then she was 10 years ago, because she's been building to a certain degree. And she knows she needs a coach. She knows she needs a trainer. And then there are the other people who can get themselves on track with just a little bit of push, a little bit of start. Or they find a class. And that's what I want to talk about before we wrap it up in the next 5 minutes. But, what I always say, that try different things, which you were talking about earlier, because not only are you pushing yourself to find something that gets you out of your comfort zone, that's how we grow, that's how we learn, but you might find something you really love, and you might find something that becomes part of your lifestyle. And one of the things that I started that I really, really didn't like in the beginning is yoga. And I do hot-powered yoga, hot-powered flows. Both my daughters are yoga teachers. One, it's a side hustle. The other one's a full-time instructor, plus she's a teacher trainer. She runs retreats all over the world. She's very high-end. And what I see with these yoga masters and how they're using their muscle and their own body weight for what you were talking about earlier, and holding wall sits and planks, and just what I see and going down in a chaturanga and using your muscle, your upper body muscle, to get your whole body and then hover and hold. What I'm seeing is people finding their balance, finding their center, working all muscles, staying focused and concentrated, working up this sweat. Of course, I do the hot yoga, and then I go take a cold shower, like the Tony Robbins thing where you go from cold to hot, or hot to cold. which is a really good, some people think, oh my God, that's not good for your systems. It actually is.
I have a cold plunge I do daily, so.
Oh, there you go. It's so
good
for your lymphatic system.
Yeah.
When we think about what you were talking about earlier, our systems having to be activated and have to be flushed out, that you've got to get moving in order to do that. What do you suggest to the person who just doesn't exercise? Where's the start? What should the first thing they should do?
I mean, a walk, just move, just be active. I tell my clients outside of training with us twice a week, just move and be active. Don't sit on your butt all day long. Don't be sedentary. And if you can only go for a 5-minute walk, start with 5 minutes. If you can go for 10, go for 10. And just add a minute every week. I mean, all of a sudden you're moving, right? You don't have to go running, jogging. You don't have to do the yoga, the Pilates. If you like those things and you enjoy those things and you can tolerate them without getting injured, knock your socks off. The more active we are, I think the better we are as a society and just overall function in our mindset and our mood, right? But if you're doing nothing, just do something. Just anything to get your body moving, to get the muscles to fire, to get your blood to flow, to get your mind to work is highly beneficial. And that's the other people say, they're like, well, I need to get in shape before I come to you. It's like, no. We're going to get you in shape. No, that's the opposite, right?
Yeah, it's cleaning your house before the housekeeper comes.
Yeah, exactly. So I would, anything, but I highly recommend strength training in some capacity, and anybody can do it. Again, it doesn't take a lot of effort. It takes effort, but it doesn't take a lot of time, as we've already talked about. You can literally do a total body workout. If you're doing body weight exercises, you could do it 10, 12 minutes. I mean, just something to activate the muscles, to get the blood flow, get your mind going, and get you moving.
Daily. I've been reading more and more, like you being in this business. I research all the time. I read every health and wellness book and follow all these functional medicine practitioners and scientists and stuff. And I'm reading more and more about just move every day. Just move. I like to tell my clients to break a sweat every day, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, I taught 6 a.m. this morning in the pouring rain. It was pitch black outside. I was indoor, but I taught an indoor cycling class. And we're for an hour between 6 and 7 a.m., we're dripping in sweat. So I'm not talking that that's for everybody, like what you were saying. And, and some people, a lot of people say to me, both with things like cycling, which I do, and strength training, that they're worried about getting bulky. Can you address that? Because I strength train every day. I different muscles every day, and I'm not bulky. And
typically a female wants to get tone and lean, right?
Right.
Well, that's where you would need to add muscle onto your frame. Men have more testosterone, so we might get bigger and bulkier. Women do not. So if you're genetically predisposed to increasing muscular mass, hypertrophy, we call it, you might be a genetic freak, and that's like a 0.0005% of females, right? Or they're on drugs. So if females truly want to look lean, sexy, and tone, you got to add muscle. And that's how you get that lean tone look, is by that definition of adding, because muscle is dense, it's expensive tissue. Like I said, it burns calories, but it's dense. Fat is voluminous. Like if you look at a pound of muscle and a pound of fat, fat looks a lot bigger, even though it weighs the exact same. It's because the density of that muscle is just tight and compact. And that's how you get the definition through the body. So females, unless you're genetically predisposed to getting hypertrophy, adding muscle frame, that's not going to happen. You're going to get the desired look you want, and you're going to get the benefit and the function that you need.
Yeah. I just use myself as an example, and I just tell people it isn't going to happen unless you want it to happen and you create that to happen.
Sure.
And if they don't, but sometimes I think a lot of the women use that as an excuse not to train, and it's really a bad decision, as we've just proven here in this last 45 minutes and what we've been talking about. So
all my clients are bodybuilders, if you will. They're building lean muscle, and I'm not talking like Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Muscle Freaks, right? But we're building lean muscle to help them with their functional ability and reverse the aging process, because we have those epigenetic changes in the hormone profile. And research will show that we can combat a lot of those through high intensity strength training. That's why I think strength training is kind of like the fountain of youth. It does so much good for the body without any surgical or pill intervention. You just got to put a little work into it.
Exactly. You have to have intention, and you have to put some work into it. But really it can elongate your life and the quality of your life, which was what we've been saying all the way through. And what I find for me, when I started exercising, I started in college as soon as my father died, I was 20 years old. So as soon as I got to college, when I was 18 is when I kind of changed my lifestyle. I was out of the house and I was able to eat better. I started playing tennis. And once these things happen and you start to see the changes, you start to feel the changes too. You get a clear head. Everything starts to, all those little aches and pains, all those sniffles, the sinus headaches, all those go away. It's miraculous what can happen when you start taking care of yourself. And movement and strength training are so essential. It's like number one, like you said. It's so
profound when we see clients increase their strength and increase their function. It's a snowball effect into so many things in their life. They're more productive. They have better mindset. They have better mind clarity. Their outlook on life changes profoundly, and they tend to make better food choices because they don't want to sabotage the investment in money and time and effort that they put into the gym. So we see that effect as well. You can't.
Opens.
Everything opens, and it's just. Why not enjoy the time you have, especially if you're in the retired years? You've worked your butt off to get there. You might as well stay healthy, fit, and strong because everybody deserves that lifestyle as they age.
Oh, I love that. That's a great note to end up because we're right there. So, but before we do, I want you to tell us how, some people can't see the screen and I want them to hear how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah. Easiest way is MaxStrengthFitness.com. That's our website, MaxStrengthFitness.com. You can find all of our social handles at the bottom. We do YouTube channels, our YouTube videos every week, motivational, inspirational. Clients can find those free of charge. They can get on our email news list. If they want to do virtual training, they can request a free consultation. I'd love to come in and show them what this is all about. We also have a gift for all of your clients. If you go to MaxStrengthFitness.com/balanced life, so that's MaxStrengthFitness.com/balanced life. It's a 6-week lifestyle challenge. So over those 6 weeks via email, you'll get this, and it's all digital. You disconnect from screens, reconnect with loved ones. You get the magic and the benefit of meditation and how to cut through all the stress that you're going through. Express gratitude as part of your life, improve your sleep, especially during these trying times. Connect with the outdoors. You take all these lessons and these habits over these 6 weeks. They can profoundly help to transform your life. So that's a gift I'd love to give to all of your clients. So it's MaxStrengthFitness.com/balanced life.
Oh, I love that. That's so nice. You guys hear that? Go ahead. You need to take advantage of this. And wow, that's great. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
Gift for my listeners. And now just final thought. You've already kind of said it, but final words, simple phrase, sentence, word, whatever, final thoughts.
Strength is where it's at. If you're losing strength, you're losing function, you're decreasing the quality of your life. And if you truly want to improve the quality of your life, do some form of strength training.
Yes, couldn't agree more. And I have to thank you for your time and your expertise.
My pleasure. Yeah, it was a blast.
Hang on right there. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. I want to thank you, my audience, for joining me today. I hope you got some good information. So go ahead and visit us. Go to my Facebook page, go to my Instagram, make a comment, ask a question. What did you hear today that you liked? What do you disagree with? Do you have any anecdotes and things that have worked for you? We'd love to hear from you and keep this conversation going. But in the meantime, I want you to go out and keep having those conversations that connect to a healthier you. Bye, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.